Have some guests tonight?
Sure. I'd like to introduce, first of all, our staff member, Jody May, who's in a different outfit than she usually wears to work. But Jody is a reservist, guards person from the National
Air Force Reserves.
I'll tell you what, I'll let her. But anyway, Jody's one of our great staff and just really excited for her to be here and introduce.
Lucy, that's my position here. I've been here for a little over 3 years. I've been in the military for 25, 4 years active with the United States Marine Corps, and then I have been in the Air Force Reserve for my 20 other years down at Grissom Air Force Base. So if you guys drive to Indiana from here, you're gonna pass Grissom on 31. It's where that little tiny museum is. It's back there. You just don't realize it. So I was a first sergeant for 6 years. When I came here, I was a first sergeant, which my supervisor was just really great at supporting me. And what I need to do as first sergeant. So similar to HR in the civilian world. And so just being that support, because usually with reservists, it's not so much when you're there that the issues kind of arise. It's sometimes the other 28 days of the month that stuff comes up. So things going on with families or things going on with you personally, and trying to help people navigate those. And just having staff when I had to take extra time off to be in my military role that were very supportive and said, you know, how can we support you? What do we need to do to get you where you need to go? And understanding when I'm coming back, sometimes I'm a little bit of a fog because maybe I'm coming from someplace that isn't the same time zone as us. So just being understanding when I'm transitioning back. So it's not always going into this, it's when I'm coming out is when I kind of struggle switching back into my civilian role. But what I did this last December, I've had 3 supervisors here. So I've had Megan Ford, because I was originally on the case management support coordination team. And then I joined the home base team. So Megan Ford and Emma Higgs, and then also Tara. For it, I wanted to recognize them for the support. So I brought in All Ryan and we did Patriot Awards for them in December, which is an award that we can nominate our employers, like our supervisors, for just supporting us in that way. And then Paul here is from ESGR. And so if I can explain a little bit of what ESGR does, just a little piece of what I've used ESGR for. So when people have came to me as a first sergeant said, my employers give me pushback because I have to go do my military time. That's where I'm going. I'm going to ESGR to look at their website, to look up the do's and don'ts, right? What a civilian employer can and can't do. And ESGR is just great. ESGR is great to, when you have those questions, to reach out to somebody that knows all those, you know, those laws and what people can and can't do when it comes to being guard and reserve and a civilian employee. And just also they're here to kind of support employers. So they're here for employees and employers, and then also to give recognition. So that's where I've used ESGR, it's just the support. And I've used it myself when I came into those issues where people, not here, but other people have been pushing back about, I need to take military time off. So Paul Ryan is retired from the Navy, retired Navy captain, and he came out in December, and then he'll kind of talk about what he's here for today.
Yeah, thanks. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for allowing us to speak for a few minutes. I'm a representative of this organization called Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. It's a long handle, so we go by our initials, ESGR. We are a Department of Defense volunteer agency that was established in 1972. Our mission is to create a culture in which military service is valued by every civilian employer in the United States. We do that in 3 main ways. First, we recognize the outstanding support that many civilian employers already provide to their Guard and Reserve employees. Second, we educate both employer and Guard and Reserve employee about their respective rights and responsibilities under the federal law that governs the employment of Guardsmen and Reservists in the civilian workplace. And third, because we're dealing with organizations filled with human beings, sometimes things go wrong in that employment relationship, and ESGR has an informal mediation service through our ombudsman team that can help resolve that conflict. As Jody said, I come out here in December to recognize her 3 supervisors with this award for named individuals within a civilian organization. ESGR loves to help Guardsmen and Reservists thank their employers for supporting their Guard service. Those were individual named awards for those individuals. My last couple of years in the Navy Reserve, I taught a leadership course to Navy Reserve officers and senior enlisted. And one of the concepts that we talked about was organizational climate. Leadership in an organization sets the tone and creates the sense of empowerment that can allow for the supervisors that Jody worked with to do what they did to support her. But that has to come from someplace else. That comes from the top. And so to recognize the organizational climate that OnPoint has created to support Jody's military service, we have another document that I have right here in my hand. This is called a statement of support for the Guard and Reserve, and this is for the organization. This is a non-binding public proclamation that an organization will basically follow the law. You got to do that anyway, but we want to give you credit for it. The first three, we're not going to read this, but the first couple of paragraphs from this document come straight from that federal law. It's the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act. And then the final paragraph says that the organization will seek to employ veterans whenever they can. So without any further ado, may I approach the bench, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Let's have our board members gather around Dallas to observe the signing and take a picture of that process as well. We'll recognize the press here as well. You want to be in the picture?
Especially something
Maybe be in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, you actually can't see.
Understood. Understood.
Thanks. Oh, that's really
Does
good.
look, okay,
That's
you ready? Okay.
All right, everybody. Smile, say tax season. Very good. We encourage organizations to display that document proudly on the premises.
Great.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. Gary, you came a little bit late. I need a minute to tell her so.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Okay. We'll offer you a room protection for.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your support of Jody's military service.
Thank
Give yourselves a round of applause.
So much time to.
All right, let's do the roll call.
I'm gonna let it out. People are worried about it.
Kim unfortunately texted me just before I was really ready to go pick her up and said that she's been ill and was unable to come today. Glenn?
Here.
Jessica? Here. Mark?
Here.
Crystal?
Here.
Gail?
Present.
Beth? Here. I'm here. Marcia? Here. Jane?
Here.
Deb? Here. Karen may come later. She knew she couldn't make it to program, but she was hoping to make it to the full board meeting, so. Okay. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on any agenda item at this point? Nobody raised their hand? People have looked at the.
Anybody online?
Oh, thank you. How about online? Gonna add this to my notes. Okay. Now, anybody see anything in the agenda we want to add or change? Please don't add because it's already long. 10 minutes. If not, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Move to approve.
Move. Support? Any other discussion? All in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Does anyone wish to remove any of the items under the consent agenda in order to discuss them individually? If not, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the consent agenda is approved.
Second.
Moved and supported. Any other discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Jane, will you please give us a report from your today's program meeting?
Yes. So we had a couple of different presenters. Look at my notes here a moment. So we heard from the Children's Services. We had 3 different supervisors speak in those areas. Eve talked a little bit about the children's outpatient services. They support the family and support the therapist. Currently, we have 282 involved in that program. Tracy was next, who was with the intensive care coordination and wraparound team. They currently have 51 youth and families enrolled in their program. And then Emma talked about home-based therapy and infant mental health. Currently, they have 52 cases. She was happy in March, they will finally have a fully staffed team, and this hasn't happened since 2023. So it'll be exciting for them to finally get somebody on board to finalize that area. And then we also had Gina. She talked about she gave a report, which is included in the board packet, as well as Kathy, who also gave customer service report, which is included in the packet. Something notable regarding Kathy's report. She said that recently there was an audit and we scored 96.43% on the audit. We did not have any corrective actions, just recommendations. So that was a pretty good percentage or rating that we received for the audit. Lastly, we did talk about, for the last several months, we have been ending early. We have had probably an extra 45 minutes in our program committee. And so we feel that we do not need that full hour and a half, and we would like to move our meeting time from 4 p.m. to 4:15 p.m. So if I can get a motion to change that meeting time.
Are you making a motion and we can, okay, I don't know if it's necessary, but we'll go ahead.
Okay.
Any support for that motion to switch it to, so what were you going back to 4:15?
4:15 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two other members of the.
And that will be effective at the March meeting then. Okay.
So just to formalize it, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And that concludes my report.
And I'm sure Megan and Gina, you can let everybody know,
Yes.
staff wise, that they don't. And I'm sure we consulted with you that there isn't an
Yes.
issue with, okay.
Yeah, we did.
Yep. Good, good. Great. Any questions for Jane? Thank you. Beth, will you give us a report from today's finance committee meeting?
Okay, starting on page 5, if you want to follow along. The report, the financials come through December, the first quarter of our fiscal year. Human resources, the big project going on there is to get a human resource information system, and they dwindled it from 6 down to 4. And actually, even though we're jumping ahead a little, like to now, they picked Paycor to be the HRIS, but don't think about that till next month because we're reporting on December. So, They also did supervisor training, which is to promote leadership. And that's going fine, and Raymond is helping with that. They have an official agency closure policy after living through January. And they're still working on the employee climate survey, the focus, and it's going along well, so nothing's really moved there. And IT was fairly quiet. Elios is up and is progressing as planned. So that's that part of the report. I'm going to jump over to page 12 to the financials. If this is for the first quarter ending December 31st, if you look on the far right column, the Medicaid subtotal, the 482,000, that would go back to the LRE. And then running down the same column to the general fund, the 167, 917 would go back to MD HHS. So not bad. Moving on to page 13 to the income statement. We are through 25% of the fiscal year, the first quarter. And following the percentages on the far right column for the revenue, that Healthy Michigan is a little bit high for the revenue because once again, we haven't had a lot of disenrollments from that. Moving down the column, grants and earned contracts, 23%. It's a little under, but those are grants and you have to write the expenditure before you can recoup the grant money. So you got to spend before you make, so it's a little low. Basically from positions being filled and so forth. The big one, the 2767 other revenue, came from some investments and interest income. So good job, Andre and team on that. As for expenses, everything seems to be in line until you get down to that 15% professional development. And professional development is basically a lot of conferences. And it's just not conference season. So with the conferences ramp up, that'll come back up to what it's budgeted for. Occupancy, same type of thing. Basically, it's low because we're waiting for the muddy season to be over to do spring cleaning. That'll be air ducts and carpets and windows and that deeper cleaning. So that'll pop back up to the budget too. The depreciation's a little high at 37. That is because we completely closed the building project out and finalized that. So that's why it's a little high this month. Overall, the change in net position for year to date, 191,792, the middle number on the last line there. So as Andre said before, doing quite well. Happy, things are steady as she goes. So any questions on that? We're gonna slide back to page 7 and pay some bills. So I make a motion that the OnPoint board approve the January 2026 disbursements totaling $4,821,076.25.
I have a motion. Do I have support? Support. Support by Glenn. All right, this is money, so I'll do a roll call vote. Start off with you, Glenn.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes.
Mark.
Yeah.
Crystal.
Yes.
Gail. Beth.
Yes.
I say yes. Marcia.
Yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Deb.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, moving on to page 8, we have a few new providers. So I make a motion that the OnPoint board approve the following list of provider contracts for fiscal year 2026.
Support? Any discussion? Records, Deb?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Marcia?
Yes.
Say yes. Beth?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Glenn?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, one more, on page 9. I recommend a motion, or I make the motion to comply with the requirements of 2011 Public Act 152, the Publicly Funded Health Insurance Contribution Act, by adopting the annual exemption option for the medical benefit plan coverage year January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2026.
Support.
Support to that motion. Any other discussion? This is something we do every year. It's sort of money too. I'll do it one more time. Glenn?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
I say yes. Marcia?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
And Deb?
Yes. That concludes the finance.
Okay. Fun. We did not meet today, but is there anything you'd like to report?
There are no updates to report from the recipients, right? We will be next month at our scheduled visit, our scheduled time.
Great. Do we have Mary or Stephanie tonight? I see Stephanie.
Yes,
Hello.
you've got me. Hello. Well, my friends at OnPoint, I do have a handful of updates for you. Couple things I wanted to mention. I think the last time that I was here, we were thinking we were still going to have our January board meeting, and we actually ended up canceling due to inclement weather. So our board meeting is going to be next week, Wednesday, which is February 25th at 1 p.m. It will be a very, quite a robust meeting because now we're going to be, moving everything that would have been in February and January into one. So we're going to have an ISF analysis from Wakely. I will be there presenting on the annual effectiveness review for the QAPIT. And then I also have fiscal year 25 results for our strategic plan for substance use disorder for prevention and treatment. And then one of the other things as well that I'll be going through is our veteran navigator report for fiscal year 25, the results of that. So it'll be a pretty robust meeting, probably last the whole time. So just wanted to make sure you knew that. And one other thing that we're going to have happening at the board meeting as well is Aaron Barbas and Lynn Doyle are going to be doing a brief presentation on a project that they've been working on with Mary and I. As well as each of our CMHs and their leadership teams on a residential assessment and authorization model. They're going to kind of walk through what that looks like, where we're heading, see if the board has any questions and things of that nature. So that's the stuff that's going to be covered at that meeting. Additionally, I wanted to let you know that we do have an Oversight Policy Board Committee coming up on March 11th, and that will be at 4 p.m. at Ottawa CMH. And at that meeting, we're going to be reviewing the bylaws. We do that annually, as well as any liquor tax or PA2 requests. I understand, I believe Ottawa County might have one. I'm not sure if your county will or not, but we'll be doing that at that meeting. And then just a couple other things that we're working on right now with the LRE as we are working through tabulating all of our results for everything that we did during fiscal year 25 to put our annual impact report together. And so we're working on that. Earlier in the program committee, I know Kathy Potter had mentioned that we do have our customer services annual report ready. So that will be also put into our annual impact report, and that will be emailed to everyone here very soon, and we'll be getting that out. And then probably the last thing that we're still working through and trying to, spend some time on is figuring out CCBHC. And as you all know, the direct payment has gone to our CMHs, but what we're running into at the LRE is there are still projects and things that we need to be working on that are now separated from CCBHC, but the way that the data comes into us isn't flowing as the state thought it would. And so we're having to sign business associate agreements, things of that nature to ensure that we are able to still process the data at our level that we can, without inadvertently creating a HIPAA violation, and also just trying to work through all the nuances with it. I think every day one of my staff discovers something new that we need to figure out as it relates to CCBHC and the change now. So still spending ample amount of time working through that. So I think those are probably my big updates right now. So I will pause, Madam Chair, just to see if you have any questions or comments for me.
Questions for Stephanie? I don't hear any, so thank you very much, Stephanie.
I thank you.
Okay. What was that term she used? Robust? I have a robust report to give. And I had to actually put it on a separate page. So, okay, here goes. First off, I wanted to take a minute. We have some certificates that we want to pass out. Several board members have finished their board works. And I wanted to have Megan help me and pass those out. So, up I have is Jessica. And Marcia. And hey, Glenn. Oops, Glenn. I skipped Gail. I knew he was right. Ooh, Lord.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And Jane. Yep.
You probably should mention that at the statewide CMHA conference,
Yeah.
your name was mentioned.
You got, mentioned. Because you finished your board works.
Yes.
And so,
We can take the classes all the
guess-
time at work, and so it's just kind of like, I look at it as mandatory.
I think they used to like keep track of it, so then when somebody did, then they would give a presentation, and now they've asked us to keep track of it. But I think we'll go ahead and at the next conference, we'll be sure you get your 3 seconds of fame and the conference, okay? Okay, next is, I think in your packet, everybody got the form that we fill out every year for the conflict of interest disclosure. And Megan just wants to make sure that there isn't anything in here that we need to update. And I asked, she said nothing has changed. So just to give us that opportunity. And then this is something though that we will fill out and sign next month.
I don't think that's happened.
They're over there, they didn't get put in the packet. Okay.
But we'll get it, we'll distribute it for those that need it.
Okay.
She told me not to next month.
We'll do it quietly.
Okay. The other thing though is that we do want to do this month. Diane has talked to us at the executive committee level that, she wanted to request that we make some updates to the bylaws to just make sure that we are fulfilling all of the requirements for compliance, corporate compliance. And, one of the things that she was concerned about is that we want to make sure that it's in writing, that the board is kept abreast of all corporate compliance issues and such. And so between her and Mark, they put together this language that we want to then add to our bylaw we already do it. She makes a report to the executive committee. She gives us a written report every month that she talks to us. She's always available if we had any questions. And she presents to the program committee on a regular basis as well. But this just like puts it all in writing, puts it in our bylaws, and so we can prove that, yep, this is what we do. And so this is our opportunity to get that if there's not any objection to get that included in our bylaws, and we'll just need to have a motion and make a vote on that. Is there anything that anybody wanted to add or change about what is recommended verbiage that we add? Now, I'll entertain a motion to, add this to our current bylaws. You get the motion, and somebody else can. Oh.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Opposed? Get the bylaws amended then. Okay. Now, the nominations committee has met, and Glenn, can you give us a report? And it's in your packet.
It's in the packet page, 26, right? Yes, so we did meet last month after the board meeting, and we had a fairly decent discussion. Everybody that was already in the executive committee agreed to come back. And as a committee, we agreed that it would be in the best interest of the agency to maintain the current executive committee due to the transition year with Barnes. So that was the recommendation were presented to the executive committee in February, and next month, the full board will seek approval from the full board.
We'll move to adopt that. And I guess, I could say we'll elect the officers.
I just have one little thing. I'm not on the committee.
Nomination. And
I'm not on the nomination. Oh, you're not on the nomination? I am.
You were there.
I was.
But we talked for like 8 minutes after the last board meeting.
Oh.
I'm sorry about
Not only were you,
I'm vacation break. It's a one-time committee meeting.
not only were you late to committee, now you don't remember being.
That must have been that interesting.
I think we'll move on. Although I do want to say that, that yes, the nomination committee presents it to the board as a slate that we can then choose to adopt or not next month. But there is always the opportunity, if anybody wanted to make a motion from the floor next month to nominate somebody else, we would take that under advisement, and vote on that as well.
And now I remember.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, I'm bored.
Okay. I'm passing this around because I want us all to take 5 minutes and celebrate the fact that the state has chosen to rescind its bid to privatize the Medicaid funding of behavioral health services. It was a huge thing. And remember last month I said to Stephanie that I wish I could go ahead and I would bet at least $2 if that's what was going to happen. And sure enough, it did. They just kind of went, never mind, and took it back. So yay, yay, yay. We're back. Because it was we spent all last year worrying about this. And so I just want to take that minute. But the thing that was interesting at the conference, Bob and Alan are the two main guys at CMHA. And so they talked about it quite a bit. And they said that, I love this phrase, they said, you can celebrate for 5 minutes, but they said, don't go back to bed. Because they are fairly certain that, yes, this bid has been stymied, but they will probably put together another bid in the future, and this definitely hasn't gone away. And one of the reasons, and this is, I found very interesting, Michigan's share of Medicaid funding for community mental health is $4.5 billion. And so that's the key reason that health insurance companies are really anxious and to lobby for access, because that's a lot of that they could have some access to. So that makes sense that this probably isn't going to go away without another couple of fights probably. And another thing, you know, I don't like numbers, but this number caught my attention. So they had a chart that showed that the community mental health contributions to candidates, you know, the PAC money. Since 2017, CMHA has given $50,000 to various candidates' campaigns that are supportive of behavioral health. But that unfortunately is compared to $8,500,000 that insurance companies and for-profit organizations have given in the same time period. So that's kind of what we're up against. And that's not that we're gonna raise somehow $8 million to be the same, but it was a sobering number for me to see that, boy, you can imagine how hard that'll be for legislators to ignore these people because they're given a lot of money for them. So that is all I had to say about that. I don't think there's really anything else to say about the bid. Everything just goes back to normal, and they talked about possibly having another one before the end of, you know, November, but I think it's highly unlikely they're gonna spend the time to do that when. I know, Mark, on your shrug, yeah, but let's just hope that we.
Every day that goes by is a good day.
Yeah, it's better and better. Okay, then, the next thing I wanted to go over is that, at the executive committee meeting this last Friday, we did go through the evaluations. And I wanted to say right up front that Mark let the executive committee know that he has no objections to remaining in open session while discussing his evaluation this year. Because there is nothing that is of any way that you would want to have in closed session. And so I'd like to just proceed and summarize what we discussed unless there was any objection and anybody wanted to go into closed session. Anybody raising their hand? Okay, so we reviewed in detail the results of the evaluations. And we appraised Mark of, there were a couple of minor comments that were offered as suggestions for improvement, but nothing of any worth worrying about. And the other thing is that the average score was over 5 out of 1 out of 6. It was, the average was over 5 for both the board members and staff. So again, I felt like, boy, that's really a good evaluation. So unless there's any other questions, I recommend that kind of conclude our discussion about the evaluations. Did I miss anything from the executive committee staff that we should mention? Okay.
Hope
Yeah.
to receive the evaluation as presented.
Okay. Support. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Great. Okay. One thing though, I did want to mention that we did discuss while we were talking about evaluations that, you know how there are the benchmarks at the bottom that, that the CEO strives to meet. We did talk about there is going to be a need for us to create a new list of benchmarks for the new CEO. And that I discovered that is technically or normally something that you just go ahead and add into the contract, into the new contract for the new CEO. So they know right off the bat, this is what they are kind of committing to as far as their performance in the following year. So we'll be working on that to have that ready to go into the contract. And I have all the comments and the numbers if anybody had any interest in actually seeing, I've got copies if anybody does. Okay, finally, the CEO, we had our first CEO search committee meeting. And it happened, we decided to have that start at the beginning of the executive committee meeting. Deb comes, we talk, and then Deb gets to leave, and then we finish the executive committee meeting, and it seemed to flow real easy, I thought, to do it that way. So that's what we did. So, I gave you, two documents that came from. Anyway, one is just the minutes of what we talked about in general. And the other one is the first thing that we worked on is we took the current job description and talked about what we wanted to add, subtract, change, whatever. And so this is a rough draft. This is our first draft of, thank you, the things that we would like to change or add. And I wanted to have all of you get a copy of this so you could look it over too. And please let me know if there's anything you would feel that, we should add yet from this. And we'll bring it back to our next search committee meeting, which will happen before our next full board meeting. And at that point, we would like to, or I'm hoping that we'll have a final draft to give to the board for your approval. Because as far as the timeline goes, we're hoping to have everything ready to be able to post the job after the March meeting, sometime before the end of March. So it'll be in the first quarter. And then we can take like the second quarter to collect the applications, look at them, interview them, all of that part. And then hopefully there'll be a whole quarter that the new person could be working with Mark to train for that position to start in January. So I'm leaving. People can take those home with them and look it over and let me know if there's anything you'd like to mention.
How would you like that feedback? I thought about.
Send me an email. Be good. Good. That was all I wanted to talk about as far as the CEO search. Got through it all. Any questions? Great. Okay. Now, Mark, you gave us a written CEO report. Is there anything you wanted to emphasize or update us on?
Yeah, happy to do that. Thank you very much. First thing I would just mention related to the evaluation, thank you for that. And I did receive a copy of the comments and I'll be pouring over those. I appreciate the time and energy that we put into both crafting them on the board as well as for our staff. So again, very helpful comments. The issue of goals, even though the concept of an annual goal doesn't really kind of make sense in this concept, there's still quite a bit of this year left. So I'll be working with the executive committee to continue to craft goals and make sure that there's some meaningful targets for the things. Obviously, there'll be a piece of this that relates to transition, but the year's not done. Just told you early, that's all. So anyway, thank you for that feedback, and I'll be taking that into account as we go. First thing just to mention, as a part of the executive or the finance committee, we talked a little bit about that mat room as a part of the building portion of that, but the finance committee members, building committee members did tour that mat space just to get a look at how we were sitting today. So those who are there have seen it. It's looking pretty good considering where we're at in the process. The aim is still to have it online by the first part of April. Yeah, and I think we're in good shape. So just so you know that. On the item of the board member opening, I had an opportunity to be with Alice this week at a Allegan County Community Foundation function that seated us around some folks from Pullman area. And of course, we mentioned that we were very interested in that southwest corner, south of Fenville, west of Allegan, all that. And so we were able to receive some good information back. I've gotten one indication from one of the persons we talked to that they would be have a person in mind that they would want to encourage. So I'm really encouraged by the likelihood that we'll have a person at the targeted geographic area of our county soon. So that's has to go through the county commission and all that, but at least we're pursuing some very definite leads. On the item related to the Beacon Allegan administrator, I was encouraged to find out this week too that the appointed interim director or interim administrator for the hospital has already formed a community panel or a committee that a board of community members that had been in place for a number of years, but was taken apart when Ascension took over the hospital. So that committee has now been, I want to say, reassembled. I'm not sure if it's some, I know some of the members are the same. I don't know if all of them are. But it's encouraging to see the hospitals, the owner, the Beacon hospital chain, they're interested in having community boards associated with local operations. So that's good to see. This person is coming to the next MAC meeting on March 17th. Will be the fourth administrator that we've worked with since I've been here. So hopefully a little stability after quite a bit of period of transition. I just want to mention too, related to that MAC situation. I was at a meeting today in which we were talking a little bit about the future of MAC. MAC, as you may know, was formed many years ago at the requirement of the Department of Health and Human Services. That is a condition of funding for particularly for children's services and child welfare and reunification and all of that. There was an effort to require that the money be attached to local initiatives to collaborate and coordinate funding so that the targets were that the resources were better spent, more leveraged with other efforts in the community, and that people tried to align their efforts. Well, that's long ago been removed from a requirement, and many communities have just continued on with some sort of a collaborating council or some committee that kind of keeps the community of human services connected to one another and working as much as possible in a common direction. MAC has gone through a process of kind of being connected more closely to the hospital's annual needs assessment and health improvement plans in the community. We're stepping away from that and have recently moved from being managed through the local United Way to being managed by the community foundation itself. So it's kind of a service to the community that the foundation serves as the backbone organization that manages the communication and the meetings and all of that. The efforts will be to reestablish a broader leadership group that brings together folks that haven't really been at the table. Some of us have been there regularly, but others have kind of drifted away. But it's attempting to bring back more of the community's leadership, total leadership related to human services. And then instead of having committee structures that are really tied to the community health improvement plans, there will be a needs assessment group that helps spot areas that potentially could be impacted, and then assembling special purpose teams that work for a while together but don't necessarily carry on forever to address those issues in as long a manner as is needed to kind of affect the change. So hopefully a little more dynamic approach to it, and one that's a little more broad-based as far as the community's leadership is concerned. So look forward to hearing more about that. I'll try to put a regular update on the community section for the MAC as it continues on. So I think it's a good thing. Alice has already said everything that I was going to emphasize related to the RFP. Thanks to the board members, by the way, who did attend the CMH Winter Conference. That was really nice to be able to spend some time together afterwards, having dinner together and talking about things and meeting family members and so forth. But it was really a worthwhile conference, a lot of good information. I really appreciate the time and energy that you invested in being there. In the middle of the second page, under the nation section, the second paragraph there, under the federal budget, we are in a period of time right now where the Department of Homeland Security is under a partial shutdown, but the rest of the government is not affected, thanks to agreements being passed on all kinds of appropriations bills for the remainder of this calendar or fiscal year. But it does not affect many of the areas that we're connected to. And then as far as the final item goes with the new program announcements about the streets initiative for recovery, We'll see. We'll see. These are initiatives that often may sound like significant efforts on the front end, and then later you find out that it might be simply rearranged resources or, putting things into less attractive options and things that are considered mainstays. So we'll have to see how that goes, but we're watching, of course, the rhetoric at the federal level because it often directs what channels the funding goes through. And that has a lot to do with how we operate. So we'll be watching that closely. Other than that, not really anything else I want to draw attention to, but again, thanks for the evaluation.
Any questions for Mark? We now have another opportunity for public comment. Anyone from the public would like to address the board?
Yes, Jay, someone who is probably sponsored by the board, was present at Benjamin's Hope. And the subject, that is the human subject, was our daughter who was there. So we appreciate having, I assume that you have to do that in a way to kind of check up on whatever's going on. But we appreciate you sending the person. And also, the star Rebecca Becky still, even though under WMU apparently still manages to show her affection by seeing our child once monthly. Also, some of the things too, we have a chance to talk about, for instance, could mention to the person who comes and mention to you, like in our situation, we hope it doesn't change. We have used a dental firm, a pediatric dental firm, and we've used Holland Hospital because of the need for anesthesiologists and so on. And so we're hoping, because our child is now 39, but is like a far, far lower functioning person. So we hope that the people who provide funding for such things will not say, well, this is no longer a child, this kind of thing. So we're thinking about that. And I want to commend them that they are having someone come who is supposed to be good at developing communication. And as you know, if you have someone who doesn't communicate too much in some ways and really doesn't speak, it's worth a try. And so we want to commend them. We want to thank you for your support. And Lent is on top of us, so we hope that goes, and just your lives in general. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Tina?
Yes, just want to plug our community needs survey that went out. So it went out in a variety of different ways. If you didn't receive a copy of it, let us know. We can get you a copy, but you can forward it. There's QR codes, so please pass it along. We are asking for responses to be back by Monday. So, but it's a pretty short survey, so it's manageable. So.
Good. I just saw it today as an email, so I don't know how to use QR codes, but I'll get to it.
Email, there's a link in the email.
Yeah, I know links. Okay, I got that.
If anyone needs it, just let us know.
Good. Okay. Is that all the public comment? Anybody online? Anything? All right. Board member comments. Jessica. Thing.
Nope, I'll be heading to Texas for 2 weeks and it's gonna be in the upper 80s, lower 90s, so.
Right, rub salt in the wound because it might be 50 today, but we know better. And you'll be back in time for?
Yeah, I come back on the 10th. Yeah.
For today.
Okay, yeah.
Well, next month we'll be meeting on St. Patrick's Day, so
Okay.
you're free.
Not really, no, thank you. Nope.
Yeah. Jane,
I have nothing.
I guess I don't have anything either, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
On favor, say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, motion carried.